Hi there. Didn't expect to see me around now, did you? Live edition. It is 12:06 Eastern on in the Hoodwood. My name is KJ Green, and most of the time you're used to seeing the slick productions and stuff like that crammed in. So you're gonna have to forgive me if there's no graphics. I might have to go back and put in graphics later. But this is a special Thanksgiving Day edition of Sports in the Hoodwood. We're just doing Hoodwood picks, primarily because I don't feel like editing a whole bunch of stuff. You see my very, very messy offense because the camera's a lot wider on my computer than it is normally on my camera, which sits behind my computer. So you have a little insight on things that I do with production wise. Nevertheless, from my hood to yours, please accept my warmest Thanksgiving greetings. And let's get into the picks. Now, Thanksgiving is a cherished holiday, and there's nothing like eating heartily while watching football. The tradition of the fourth Thursday in November dates back to the beginning of the NFL in 1920. Now, the Detroit Lions have hosted a Thanksgiving Day game since 1934, and with only the years missed in between due to World War II, they've hosted every game since 1945. The Dallas Cowboys picked up the Thanksgiving mantle in 1966 when then general manager Tex Schramm wanted to get more publicity for the team, figuring they were a big draw. They have been a big draw and have, except with the exception of a couple of games in 1975 and 1977, where the St. Louis Cardinals hosted the game, the Dallas Cowboys have been a late afternoon fixture on the Thanksgiving Day slate. Now, the AFL, when they were founded, had Thanksgiving Day games up until 1966, a single game, and then a twin bill from 1967 until the merger. The NFL added a third game in 2006 after longtime Chiefs owner Lamar Hunt continued to pressure for a third game or have some sort of rotation of Thanksgiving Day games. Detroit and Dallas weren't giving it up, so a third game was added. And with the exception of the COVID adult game in 2020, there has been 3 games on the Thanksgiving slate ever since. Now, the NFL last year announced that the Thanksgiving Day games would be rebranded the John Madden Thanksgiving celebration to honor the memory of the head coach and longtime broadcaster who was a fixture on Thanksgiving Day games. Now, believe it or not, there is an NFL. Well, I shouldn't say believe it or not. Try that again. Now, risk being live, you got to excuse me because I'm gonna fall over words. I have a tendency to do that here and there. So stand by. Now, the NFL has only played 8 Friday games since 1978, but the NFL decided to add a game on Black Friday. Believe it or not, the Cincinnati Bengals were the first in line to volunteer their services to host the day after Thanksgiving Day game. They wanted to make this permanent game on their schedule as well. Now, the NFL shooed them away and saying, thanks, but you're a good team, you're a good kid, but go away. Wanted the New York team to play at least its first game and kind of use it as kind of a test balloon to see if this was going to work, an NFL game on Black Friday. Now, but they are considering the Cincinnati Bengals for future and Black Friday games, so don't be surprised to see if they end up on the schedule sometime soon. Now, in an ironic twist, all 4 games that are being played on Thanksgiving and Black Friday are divisional games. The first 3 are NFC games, and of course, the Friday game being a game against with AFC opponents. So, for your approval, review, and perusal, here are the Thanksgiving Day, or I should say the John Madden Thanksgiving Celebration Day games, with the odds provided by ESPN for comparison and entertainment purposes only. If you bet the Lions and lose the shopping money, that's totally on you. I might be able to provide you with a hot plate if you come by early enough, but I'm not paying you bookie. So let's get into the Thanksgiving Day games, which the first one will start off in about 20 minutes. That will be the 4-6 Packers taking on the 8-2 Lions at Ford Field in Detroit. 12:30 kickoff on Fox. The Lions are 7.5-point favorites. Last week, the Lions defeated the Bears 31-26, while the Packers defeated the Chargers 24-20. The fast fact here is the Lions have won the last 4 meetings, dating back to a 37-30 upset that ended an otherwise forgettable 3-13-1 season for the Lions in 2021. Now, the Lions have not won a turkey game since 2016, but they're looking more and more like a bona fide contender. They are relishing the chance to bully a once longtime tormentor in the Packers. The Lions at home are looking to further bury the NFC North with a 2.5 game lead on the Lions. They may be able to put themselves far out of shouting distance by the time those two teams meet later next month. I see no reason why the Packers won't give them much more than token resistance. The pick here is Detroit. Let's move on to the afternoon game, which is the 4-7 Commanders taking on the 7-3 Cowboys at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. 4:30 kickoff on CBS. The Cowboys are 12.5-point favorites. Last week, the Commanders lost to the Giants 31-19, while the Cowboys defeated the Panthers 33-10. Fast fact here is the Cowboys have won each of the last 3 Thanksgiving meetings with the Washington franchise. Now, the Pokes have been beating up weak competition over the last few weeks, and to be honest, I don't see why they won't sleepwalk their way through this Thanksgiving afternoon match. But taking on their longtime ancient rivals in Washington, who always seem to get up for them, this may be a closer game than you might think. But Cowboys are better on both sides of the ball, and I see no reason why the combination of Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb won't pick on and torment an otherwise suspect, if not downright weak, Commanders secondary. Pokes at home at Thanksgiving is a fairly safe, sure bet. The pick here is Dallas. Next on the docket for the night game, we have the 7-3 49ers taking on the 6-4 Seahawks at Lumen Field in Seattle. 8:20 kickoff on NBC. The 49ers are 7.5-point favorites. Last week, the 49ers defeated the Buccaneers 27-14, while the Seahawks defeated the Rams 17-16. A fast fact here is these two teams collectively have only played on Thanksgiving a total of 9 times. The last time that either of these teams played on Thanksgiving, they played each other in 2014 when the Niners lost to the Seahawks 19-3 in 2014. Have the Niners got their swagger back? Very much possibility, as they had, after a 3-game lull in which they scored 17 points each in 3 losses, they bounced back to whip a pair of seemingly overmatched Florida teams in the Jags and Bucks. They head north to face the Seattle team that escaped LA by the slimmest of margins and try their damnedest to give that away. The 49ers, the Seahawks offense is bordering on inconsistent, not just downright suspect, and facing a defense that has been further bolstered by the acquisition of Chase Young from Washington. This has the makings of a heartburn game for the home team. The pick here is San Francisco. Let's look at the Friday game, shall we? The game is Friday, November 24th. The opponents are the 7-3 Dolphins taking on the 4-6 Jets. The game will be at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. 3 p.m. kickoff on Amazon Prime. The Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites. Last week, the Dolphins defeated the Raiders 20-13, while the Jets lost to the Bills 32-6. Fast fact, as mentioned before, this is the first day after Thanksgiving NFL game. Now, as mentioned also before, that there were surprisingly a lot of teams that wanted to play in this game. And the NFL is running this as a sort of a trial, a test balloon to see the reception. Now, don't be shocked to see more games like this being played on this post-Thanksgiving date. As for the game, it looks more and more like a yawner. The Dolphins look like the dominant team and look like they will be the class of the AFC East this year, while the Jets are being continued to be haunted by poor quarterback play, Zach Wilson being benched by Jets coach Robert Saleh, whose seat is pretty warm in its own self, but he will not get the start. This game should be more than a turkey than anything that you'll have today on Thanksgiving, with the Dolphins simply being better on both sides of the ball. The Jets secondary maybe being the lone exception. Shout out to my boy Sauce Gardner, fellow Bearcat. But the Dolphins are the better team, and the pick here is Miami. So there you have it. Last week, I was 9-5. As you can see, Snuffy sign behind me. The lock and Thursday picks were correct. The upset was incorrect. Thanks for nothing, Steelers. Overall, 104-58, 10-1 on the locks, 5-6 on the upsets. I'll repeat those numbers on the show that will be dropping on Saturday. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I thank you very much for your patronage and your patience. Enjoy the games, enjoy the food, and more importantly, enjoy each other's company. My name's KJ Green. I'll see you on Saturday. Until next time, fellow sports fans, 30. And that's it.